It's August 27th, 1896. You're the Sultan of Zanzibar, basically the king of this island off the coast of Africa. You've got the nice palace, the fancy robes, the whole deal. Life is good, bro. Then your uncle dies, which sucks, obviously. But here's where it gets absolutely bonkers. Your cousin wakes up that morning and says, you know what, I'm gonna be Sultan now. And then he actually does it. He just walks into the palace, takes the crown, and everyone's like, okay, I guess we have a new sultan now. And then, get this, Britain literally declares war on him for 38 minutes. I'm not kidding, 38 minutes. That's shorter than your favorite TikTok compilation. That's shorter than the time it takes to microwave a burrito. This is the story of the shortest war in human history. And honestly, it's absolutely unhinged. So let's back up to 1896. If you weren't paying attention in history class, and let's be real, most of us weren't, this is the time when European countries are basically just grabbing pieces of Africa like it's a pizza party and they're starving. Britain had already colonized like half the continent. In Zanzibar was this close to being next on the menu. It was this super important trading hub, tons of spices, ivory, all the good stuff. And the Sultan, he was basically the guy who got to keep his job because Britain allowed him to keep his job. Cool arrangement, right? Our main guy here is Sultan Hamad bin Thuwaini. Nice dude. He's been running things peacefully for a while. Everyone's chill, the economy's doing okay. And then he gets sick. And on August 25th, 1896, he dies. And that's when everything falls apart like a house made of wet crackers. Now, here's the thing about royal succession back then. It was not the vibe it is today, where there's like a clear line of succession written down somewhere. Nah, bro. It was basically whoever wants the power the most gets the power, which is a terrible system, by the way. Would not recommend. Enter Khalid bin Bargash. This guy was the Sultan's cousin, and he had some big ideas. He's basically like, hey, you know what would be awesome? If I was Sultan. So what does this mad lad do? He literally just rallies up some supporters, marches into the palace, and takes over. Boom! New Sultan. He doesn't ask permission, he doesn't hold an election, he just does it. Now, Khalid isn't working alone here. He's got backup from Germany. They like him because he's cool and he's willing to trade with them. So Germany's basically like, yeah, go for it, man. We got your back. But here's where the problem starts. Britain is watching this go down, and they are not happy. See, Britain had already picked out who they wanted to be Sultan. His name was Hamoud bin Mohammed, and he was way more, let's say, cooperative with British interests. And the British guy in charge was like, nah, Khalid, not on my watch, bro. Fast forward to August 27th, the very next day, the British Consul General, basically Britain's guy on the island, sends Khalid an ultimatum. And it's not even a nice ultimatum. It's basically like your mom saying, clean your room or you're grounded. Except instead of your room, it's the entire sultanate. And instead of grounded, it's war. The message is simple. Surrender by 9 a.m. or we're attacking. And Khalid's response? Dude said no. Like, bro, seriously? You just took the throne yesterday. You don't even have new curtains picked out yet. And you're already gonna fight Britain? The most powerful naval superpower on the entire planet? What was this guy thinking? I genuinely don't know. Maybe he thought Britain was bluffing. Maybe his advisors were like, trust me, bro, we can take him. Maybe he just woke up that day and chose violence. 9 a.m. hits. Khalid's still on the throne. He's not leaving. He's committed to this awful decision. In Britain said, okay then. They literally had warships sitting there, just waiting. It was like they were ready to go the whole time, which, yeah, they were. They 100% were. This wasn't improvised. This was premeditated. The British Navy opens up with everything. Cannons, machine guns, rifle fire, just absolute devastation. And here's the thing. Khalid's forces aren't ready for any of this. They've got some old cannons and maybe a few hundred soldiers. That's it. That's the army. The palace gets destroyed. Buildings are on fire. There's smoke everywhere. And after literally less than an hour, we're talking 38 to 45 minutes, depending on which historian you ask, Khalid's like, Yeah, okay, I surrender. Boom. War over. Khalid runs away. He literally flees to Germany territory because he knows Britain's going to be mad, and Britain basically says, fine, we're installing Hamoud as Sultan now, he's the guy we wanted anyway, and we're going to keep an even tighter control on this island from now on. So what happened after the dust settled? Well, Khalid escaped and eventually ended up in German East Africa. He lived there for a while, pretty much in exile, just vibing. The British completely took over Zanzibar's government. Like, they weren't even pretending anymore. They just owned the place. It became a full-on British protectorate. And here's the wild part. After all that violence, after all those explosions and cannon fire and chaos, fewer than 500 people died. Which sounds like a lot, except when you consider they just destroyed a palace and fought a military battle. That's actually surprisingly low numbers. But here's what really matters. Britain won. Khalid lost. And Zanzibar's independence was basically gone. Poof, just like that. So why does this matter today? Well, think about it. The Anglo-Zanzibar War was basically the beginning of the end for Zanzibar as an independent nation. What happened in those 38 minutes shaped the entire future of that island and its people. Zanzibar stayed under British control until 1963. That's almost 70 years of colonial rule, basically sealed in place by this incredibly brief military conflict. And it's one of the perfect examples of how European powers just took over Africa with barely any resistance, because they had guns, ships, and technology, and local rulers either had to bend the knee or get destroyed. Today, Zanzibar is actually part of Tanzania, and it's still dealing with the aftermath of colonialism and all the political chaos that came with it. That 38-minute war might seem funny on the surface, and it kinda is funny because it's so absurd, but it had real consequences for real people. So yeah, that's the story of the shortest war in history, 38 minutes that changed everything. It's a pretty wild reminder that sometimes history's wildest moments are also some of the darkest, and sometimes the most ridiculous-sounding events actually had huge impacts on the world. If you enjoyed learning about one of history's most absolutely bonkers moments, hit that like button and subscribe for more weird historical events. We've got videos on everything from the guy who accidentally invented dynamite to the time a British explorer literally died trying to take a selfie. Yeah, that happened. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious.